Let us begin.
Good morning. Our opening words today are by Reverend Leslie Takahashi. We gather as many drops, each winding our own path down life's surfaces and ruts. Here we pool together as a single body, flowing together for a time. Together we are a stream, at times even a river, for with our shared force we can travel towards oceans of meaning and seas of connection. Our opening hymn today is a familiar hymn. It's a UU classic, and it is also a complicated UU classic. It is Come, Come, Whoever You Are. It's based on part of a text by the Islamic scholar and Sufi poet Rumi. And last year in A Words for All Ages, you all explored together some of the cultural complexity of singing this song, right? That it is a Muslim text sung in a UU context in which that Islamic background may or may not be referenced, and in which we choose which of it we will sing and which of it we will not sing. So I invite you to keep that cultural complexity in mind, as today for our service we're going to continue to explore how do we engage respectfully with those issues of complexity. It is 188. Come, whoever you are. And now I'm going to turn it over to Brad.
Not only is it complex in cultural ways, it's complex on how to sing it. It's a 4-part round. So what we'll do is we'll sing it together, all together once, and then each part will sing their part twice through. There are 4 parts. This sanctuary is very easy to do that. Part 1 is that section there. Part 2 is this section here. Part 3 is this section here. And part 4 is this section here. Right? So all together, and then we do it twice through as a round. Balcony, why don't you join 3? Right? 3, do you like that? Can you do that? So you're 3. And I get to be the one to walk across and point at you, and once it gets going, we're going. So go ahead, Steve, give us an introduction. Here we go.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome here to First Parish in Bedford, a Unitarian Universalist congregation where people have been gathering for almost 300 years to further the spirit of liberal religion. Whoever you are, yes, come, whoever you are, whomever you love, whether you worship one God, many gods, or no God at all, you are welcome here. And as the part of the text that isn't in our song says, though you have broken your vows 1,000 times, come yet again come. Yes, we are for the imperfect people, which is to say all the people. This weekend is a holiday weekend. Tomorrow is Indigenous Peoples Day. And so it is a good day to take a moment and recognize the land we are on. I'll say that the house that I own with my housemates, because I too participate in this very odd concept that human beings can own pieces of the earth, is in a territory once occupied by the Pennacook people, an Algonquin-speaking tribe with many sub-tribes as part of their confederacy. And so let's just take a moment to breathe and think about wherever you live, where you might be zooming in from. Think about how many different people have lived on that land, and especially the indigenous people who once occupied and cared for it. And if you don't know what the name of those people were, I encourage you to find out after worship. I want to welcome everyone, those here and on Zoom, and remind you that if you are newer to our community and want to become more connected, you can fill out the blue connection cards that you can find at the end of the pews. And there should also be a link in Zoom you can fill out if you are joining us virtually. You can also, if you are here in person, check out the welcome table during community hour where you can say hello, sign up to get a name tag or a newsletter. And everyone who is here in person is invited to join us for coffee, tea, and fellowship after worship in our common room. And now, a few announcements. I will try to zip through them. One is about the photo directory. Did you know that dogs are welcome in our photo directory? They are. And if you want to include your pets, you can. Make an appointment on our website by clicking on the photo directory link on the right-hand side of the page, or find Nina Wampler to sign up. Another announcement is that the 6-month small groups will be starting up again this fall. We've done this the past couple years where anybody can join a group that will meet for 6 months, discussing monthly themes that we're also discussing in worship. Those can be on Zoom or in person, so all people are welcome to sign on up wherever you live. I've sent one email and I'll send some more, so stay tuned and sign up for those. The deadline is next Sunday to sign up. We're also going to start a new idea for Parish Council. So stay tuned for this information if you are a leader in some committee or task team or something at First Parish, and you usually would be invited to the big Parish Council meeting. We're going to try a new thing with some Parish Council sharing circles that will be coming up this month. So stay tuned. Get excited. Another thing that we're all very excited about is the haunted house, and it is coming up. And there's many ways to help, and I hope you've been seeing all the emails, some of which I find extremely entertaining, about how you can help. And one way to help is today. If you're here, you can help today with schlepping. We got a great email about schlepping. It's moving items that we need to move to new places. You can do it today after worship. Another thing that would be helpful is on Wednesday, helping to set up tents for the case of rain. So in Wednesday afternoon or evening, that would also be very helpful. And last, oh no, I left my announcement. Can I get that yellow? Yes. Because this is important, because it's about our beloved Dohertys, and so I didn't mean to forget this announcement. This is that there is a beautiful going away quilt made by Karen Libby for Rich and Nancy Doherty. And if you would like to sign your name to the back of it, it will be on a table in the common room during coffee hour, so please do so. We will miss them so much. This is a family who is moving to Indiana, for those who don't know our beloved Dohertys. And with that, I would like to invite Viviana and Vinny, Andrea Steinberg, and my kiddo, Moira Gonzalez Milliken, up to light our chalice this morning. Our chalice is our symbol of Unitarian Universalism that we light during worship. We light it to set aside this time as sacred and to remind us of our community with other Unitarian Universalists who are doing this all over this Sunday morning. Thank you so much. Now we'll rise in body or in spirit to do our unison affirmation printed in your order of worship. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. El amor es el espíritu de esta iglesia, y el servicio es su ley. Este es nuestro gran pacto, vivir juntos en paz, buscar la verdad en espíritu de amor y ayudarnos los unos a los otros.
Good morning. It's a beautiful day, beautiful October day. And the story I'm going to share with you today, I'm sure some of you have heard. I've told it many times over the years. But this time, by the graciousness of Reverend Jamie, we have one with a twist, which Andy and I were like, ooh, we like this. So there was once a king who ruled a faraway land, and because he was a wise king, he had 5 advisors to help him make decisions. Excuse me. Unfortunately, over time, his advisors became a little convinced of their awesomeness, a little too much. They were each convinced that they were always right, and that every other advisor was wrong. And so whenever the king asked his advisors for an opinion on an important topic, they would argue and argue and argue and argue. They would even shout at each other, insisting that their opinion was the truth and all the others nonsense. And so, do you think anything got done with everybody arguing all the time? Not really. So the king grew so exhausted of this arguing. Does anybody ever get exhausted by arguing? Yeah. The king grew so exhausted of arguing that he decided to teach his advisors a lesson. He commanded that an elephant be brought into the throne room from the savannah of one of his many nature preserves. This was an animal that none of the advisors had ever seen before. And then he had each of the 5 advisors blindfolded, and he led each of them to a different part of the giant elephant. "Oh, my wise advisors," said the king, "standing before you is an amazing elephant. And tell me, what is this animal called an elephant like?" The first advisor hugged one of the elephant's legs. Elephant is like a tree," the first advisor said. The second advisor was led to the elephant's tail. "No," he said, "that's wrong. An elephant is like a thick rope." Third advisor stretched out the elephant's ear. "I'm embarrassed for you both. An elephant is like a palm leaf." "What are you talking about?" snorted the fourth advisor, who was yanking on the elephant's trunk. "The elephant is like a snake." The fifth advisor was pushing on the elephant's side, the big side of the elephant. "You're all wrong and quite stupid. An elephant is clearly like a wall." The advisors argued with one another: a tree, a rope, a palm leaf, a snake, a wall. Over and over, each was convinced that they knew just what the elephant was like. The argument got out of hand and the shouting continued. Finally, laughing at their arguing, the king ordered the blindfolds to be removed. The advisors were surprised by what they saw. "Do you understand now?" said the king. "You each thought you knew the whole truth about the elephant, but you each only saw part of the truth from your own perspective. It takes all of your different perspectives to understand the elephant." The advisors hung their heads, ashamed of their arguing. Then, to everyone's surprise, the elephant spoke. "Wait a minute," said the elephant. "Hold up. Did anyone wonder about my perspective?" The king stared. It's a talking elephant. "For one thing," said the elephant, "this tile floor is cold. It is freezing my feet. That is my perspective. And do you know what is also not fun? Having 5 total strangers pulling on your tail, messing with your ear, hugging your leg all weird, poking your body, and yanking on your nose." Nobody asked if they could touch me. My perspective is I was perfectly happy at the savannah, and this has not been a good start to my day. I would very much like to go home, please. It was now the king's turn to bow his head. "I guess we have learned another lesson today. The most important perspective is the one we didn't think to ask for and didn't know was missing." "You got that right," said the elephant. "Take me home." And so they did. And the king and his advisors lived a happy life with only some arguing. And the elephant enjoyed peace on the savannah. I now invite our kids and youth. We are going to the Overlook Room today. If you are visiting for the first time today, that room is going to be out this way. Please do not go this way. That is for masks only. The Overlook Room is out this way if you're upstairs and you're visiting today. And please check in at the Overlook Room if you are new today so I can connect with you. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Sandy Bosnowski, a member of the Lay Pastoral Care Team. And at this point, we pause to share with each other our joys and our concerns. If you'd like to come up and light a candle, I'll help you with that. Please be brief, focus your thoughts, and we'll be very happy to hear from you. In that case, I'll light a final candle for those joys and concerns that we keep silently in our hearts at this time.
There's so many ways in which we hold one another in our care and hold this community in our care. And one of those ways is through our financial support, which ensures the ongoing life of First Parish. Please give generously as you are able so that we can continue to be here for one another. Our offering will now be gratefully received. May it be joyfully given.
Our reading comes from W. Waldemar W. Argo. It's in our hymnal, An Eternal Verity. Ancient as the home is the temple, ancient as the workbench is the altar.
Ancient as the sword is the sacrificial fire, ancient as the soldier is the priest.
Older than written language is spoken prayer. Older than painting is the thought of a nameless one.
Religion is the first and last, the universal language of the human heart.
Differing words describe the outward appearance of things. Diverse symbols represent that which stands beyond and within.
Yet every person's hunger is the same, and heart communicates with heart.
Ever the vision leads on, with many gods or with one, with a holy land washed by ocean waters, or a holy land within the heart.
In temperament we differ, yet we are dedicated to one august destiny. Creeds divide us, but we share a common quest.
Because we are human, we shall ever build our altars. Because each has a holy yearning, we offer everywhere our prayers and anthems.
For an eternal verity abides beneath diversities. We are children of one great love, united in our one eternal family.
I invite you to rise in body or in spirit and join in singing hymn number 187 in your same hymnal. It sounds along the ages. During my last 2 years of high school, I took an in-depth world religions class. I was in an international baccalaureate program where you took each course for the full 2 years of that program of study. And I was studying world religions in a very small class. I think there were 6 of us, with a man named Lawrence. We called our teachers by their first names at this school. And he was an old white man with a long white beard who lived in the mountains, I kid you not. And he was a Buddhist who practiced meditation regularly and had a big loud laugh, and he would go, ha, 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 when he thought something was funny. I loved learning world religions from Lawrence. We went on field trips to Buddhist communities and to Catholic monasteries, and it was sort of like the class I had done as a UU kid growing up, which at that time we called the church across the street, has evolved many times since then to include much more than churches. Our 6th and 7th graders are now studying this same curriculum, though now crossing paths. And they just did that elephant story a couple weeks ago in their own session. I was a good UU kid, and I was very interested in the different spiritual and religious traditions of the world. I was captivated by that idea in our reading and our hymn that there was perhaps an eternal verity, that there was something sounding along the ages in all of these traditions, some elephant that everyone was touching only a part of, some truth that no one could completely understand but was there in it all. Lawrence knew I was interested in Unitarian Universalist ministry, and he invited me to be part of a ceremony during my last year at that school where we were blessing an interfaith sanctuary. And so he invited me to represent the student body, but also Unitarian Universalism, alongside religious leaders, adult credentialed religious leaders of many other traditions. And you may have heard me talk about that experience because it is the story I tell when people ask me about my call to Unitarian Universalist ministry. I won't tell that part of the story right now, but it does involve me freaking out in the bathroom of the house of the president of my school. At any rate, suffice it to say, it was a very moving experience, and I felt very interested to continue my study of religion. So when I went to McAllister College in St. Paul, Minnesota, I selected for my first year course, Japanese religions. And your first year course determines who you live with in the way it was working at my college at the time. So I lived in the section of the dorm for everyone who signed up for Japanese religions, which meant that I ended up living near a lot of really thoughtful people who were interested in spirituality, and then a lot of Japanophiles who were really into anime. It was a fun mix. Among those people was a girl named Molly who'd grown up Catholic, and she had been raised in a sort of traditional background, and she wanted to do something rebellious now that she was at college. So she decided she was going to get a tattoo. And she decided to get an Irish symbol because she was Irish. And I thought, well, what symbol would I want to get if I got a tattoo? And I thought, as any good UU young adult might, a flaming chalice. But not just a flaming chalice. I wanted a symbol that showed my deep respect for many other religious traditions. And so I did end up going with Molly when she got her tattoo, and I got a tattoo of my own design that had a flaming chalice in the middle, and then also a Christian cross, a Jewish Star of David, a Taoist yin and yang symbol, a Buddhist Dharma wheel, the Hindu Om, and the Muslim crescent and star. At that time, I was just thinking about the positives, about embracing these traditions. One thing I wasn't thinking about was how it might feel to someone from one of these faith traditions, a Muslim, a Jewish person, a Hindu, to know that their sacred religious symbol was on my back. In fact, not just on my back, but organized around the symbol for my faith, like we were the most important or the best ones or the one in the middle. There's a tagline to an article that I read in preparation for this sermon. The article is called, "Yoga in America Often Exploits My Culture, but You May Not Even Realize It." And the tagline is, "I like your Om shirt. Can you tell me about the 2,500-year history behind it?" The thing is, at one point I could have. Back when I graduated with a double major in religious studies and Spanish, I could have told you about the history of the Om symbol. But now, no, I don't remember it. But I do still have it on my back. This article from 2017, written by Reena Deshpande, explains where she's coming from. She writes, "Growing up in Florida, as a first-generation Indian American, I was raised to practice yoga. But it never required breaking a sweat, nor did it involve special attire or equipment. My family learned yoga by lecture and practice, but mostly it was embedded, hidden really, in everything we did. Once, my parents had a guru host a yoga lecture in our house, which brought Indian women in saris with their husbands and children down our walkway and into our home. Chants of Om echoed through open windows. The boys on my block mocked me relentlessly for the rest of the week." And you might think, well, the joke's on those boys now, right? Yoga today is ubiquitous. Yoga today is around every corner and on every YouTube video. It's on the leggings and the tank tops. But of course, there's also the question of, and who is that for? Is it for thin, attractive white women who want to put namaste on their t-shirts? Is it for Indian Americans who grew up with the spiritual practice of yoga? Now, I want to be clear that Deshpande doesn't want white women to stop doing yoga, which is a relief to me because I like doing yoga. In fact, I regularly use YouTube videos to do yoga, following people who are not Indian, and I regularly go to the yoga studio in Malden, giving my money to this business that, as far as I understand, is not deeply rooted in Indian cultural tradition. But Deshpande instead writes, "I'm not saying that yoga is only for Indians, isn't for white women, or that it should never be a workout. Yoga is for everyone, no matter what you look like." The thing is, as we know, cultural practices migrate, they fuse and flow. There is no stopping that, not with us creative human beings who meet each other and teach each other and learn new ways of being together. And that is a very good thing. In fact, you can think about the beautiful music we've been hearing today and that tune that you can't stop snapping and moving to, Slap That Bass, that came from Gershwin, who famously fused black music with other musical traditions as a Russian Jewish immigrant to this country. And that is a beautiful thing, and it's a complicated thing too. There is a lot of complexity in the way that jazz has played out in this country, much more complexity than I am even aware of, though I know it is true, especially around racial dynamics of this predominantly black music form and how it has often benefited white musicians. You can think about our thought to ponder, too, on our order of service, another one that talks about music and where it comes from and who gets to benefit from it. So what do we do with that complexity? Well, Deshpande has some ideas, which I found a relief. She says, addressing the problem of appropriation requires the kind of study that, like yoga practice itself, is ongoing. If your teacher guides you in a Sanskrit mantra, inquire about its meaning, pronunciation, and history. When you choose yoga apparel, consider what the deity or printed symbols represent. If you devote hours toward perfecting an inversion in your physical practice, try spending a fraction of that time exploring a yogic text. I like the fact that she offers solutions. because there is this part of me that just wants somebody to tell me how to do it right. Like, how I'm a white woman, how do I do yoga right? Tell me what to do, or tell me not to do it at all. Tell me to do Pilates. I could probably learn Pilates. I think there's a part like that in a lot of us. My mom recently reached out to me because my kid Moira had been having some bad dreams, and my mom said, would it be cultural appropriation if I sent Moira a dream catcher? And I said, I don't know. So I Googled it. What I learned was that dream catchers came from the Ojibwe people who lived on the land around the Great Lakes of North America. And I learned that during the Pan-Indian movement of the 1960s and 70s, many other tribes embraced this symbol and the concept of dream catchers and incorporated them into their own cultures as a way of retaining traditional spirituality. This was a reminder to me of how very little I actually know of the people who once inhabited the land we now call North America. It was humbling to remember that, a good reminder, again, on this Indigenous Peoples' Day weekend. And so I told my mom, well, from what I can tell, it seems like it's okay to use a dream catcher if you do it thoughtfully, if you buy it from Indigenous people, if you treat it respectfully with its intended spiritual purpose, and if you do so with some knowledge and some cultural understanding. And so my mom sent Moira a dream catcher made by Indigenous people with a book, also written by an Indigenous person that talked about the practice of a dream catcher. And as we were navigating this whole question about cultural appropriation, this image that I had seen on social media came into my mind. It's a framework that comes from the Unitarian Universalist leader Alex Capitan, who does work as the radical copy editor. Now, Alex focuses on language and its impact, but I think this framework applies to so many questions that come up for us in our complicated world around power dynamics, offending, and being respectful. This is a 3-part image. The first section is titled Disregard, and it's a quote bubble. It says, "Don't tell me what I can and can't say. You're restricting my free speech." The middle image is titled Correctness, and that bubble says, "I want to be PC and avoid offense. Just tell me the right word to use." The last one is titled Care, and it says, "I care about the impact of my words on others. I want to use words as a tool for good." This framework is so simple, but it's also actually really profound. Because while I, like I think a lot of Unitarian Universalists, are pretty clear on not falling into the disregard category, it's very easy for me to fall into the correctness category. Just tell me what to say and I'll say it. Tell me what to do and I'll do it. I don't want to do it wrong. But really, where the spiritual growth and genuine connection is in the care section, where we care about the impact that we're having on others, not about getting it right. There was a story recently I read in a UU publication that told an anecdote about a black woman at community hour at a UU congregation feeling treated almost like a novelty by how much attention she would get at coffee hour. And then in this publication, she shared about mentioning this and a white woman responding, "Well, I guess we can't win then." And no, we can't win. We can't win at being perfectly non-racist, perfectly non-appropriative, perfectly anything. In this world that is so shaped by colonization, by stories about Europeans discovering land that was fully populated by diverse people, how would we win? How would we win at cultural engagement? It's not a game. Winning isn't the goal, but care is the goal. And with care, we can do things like show curiosity, We can do things like share context about a song, like Come, Come, Whoever You Are. We can strive to have some humility. When I think back to myself in college getting my world religions tattoo, I feel a little bit of, well, cringe, as the kids say these days, but I also feel a lot of fondness. I was where I was at on my spiritual journey, and I was trying to show care and respect, even though now it's not the choice I would make. Like the king and the elephant story, when we learn new information, we can do better. And the more we learn, the more we can change our practices. The really cool thing about care is that it can lead us not only into better relationship with those around us, but into deeper spiritual growth. As Deshpande notes in her article, pumping music while moving in vinyasa or power flow is fun, but it's cardio on a rubber mat rather than the spiritual practice of yoga. Asana, postures, in silence can seem boring, even scary and uncomfortable. But that's where the space for self-awareness and transformation lives. And Deshpande is right. It's not just sort of eye-rolly or exploitative to treat yoga like a trendy workout. We're missing out on real depth when we do that. And goodness knows, we need all the self-awareness and transformation we can get. It is hard to be a human in this world. We are all dealing with so many challenges. Medical challenges and mental health challenges, relationship challenges and work challenges, family challenges, the challenges of aging, the challenges of being young, the challenges of being marginalized and misunderstood, the challenges of inhabiting a world filled with violence and hatred and polarization. In all of this, we need to rely on spiritual practices and other practices like music and dance and art, cultural practices that we have learned and shared and grown into with others. So let us lean into those practices, the ones that work for us, and let us do so thoughtfully, with curiosity, and most of all, with care. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit and join in our closing hymn, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place, in your teal hymnal this time, number 1008.
Amazing grace, when our heart is in
May we make this community a holy place together, bringing our spiritual and cultural practices, learning from one another, teaching each other with our curiosity and our care to create stronger practices for all of us who need them in this challenging world. And may we create a community, too, where all feel embraced for who they are.